He screamed, "You do nothing for this family." So I walked out. 8 days later, the lights went out, the fridge was empty, and they finally realized who kept it all running. I'm 32, and I honestly never thought I'd be sitting down to share this part of my life. But after what just happened, I felt like I needed to say it out loud, if only to make sense of how everything changed in just a matter of days. It all started when my father shouted at me last week. Red-faced, furious, and shaking with anger. He told me I did nothing for this family, that I was just taking up space, and that I needed to get out of his house. So I did. I didn't slam any doors. I didn't yell back. I just grabbed my keys, picked up a small bag of essentials, and walked away without looking back. What happened over the next 8 days turned out to be the wake-up call they never knew they needed, and a reminder for me that sometimes you have to leave so others can finally see the weight you've been carrying. Let me explain what life was like before that night. After my mom passed away 3 years ago, I moved back into the family home to help out. It wasn't a fancy place. Built in the 70s, constantly breaking down and always needing repairs. My dad is 68 and has diabetes, so he can't really handle that stuff anymore. My sister, 29, works part-time at a boutique, and my younger brother, 25, doesn't work at all. He spends most of his time in his room playing video games. I work in IT consulting. The money's decent and I never flaunted it, but quietly, I was paying for almost everything. Utility bills, groceries, house repairs. I took care of all of it because someone had to, and I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I thought that's what family was supposed to do for each other. The house itself was a headache on its own. The power would flicker randomly, the plumbing would act up every month, and the HVAC system was always making strange noises. But I was handy enough to keep it all running without calling professionals, which saved us a ton of money. Beyond that, I covered the monthly bills, electricity, gas, water, internet, cable, all in my name because my dad's credit had been damaged years ago. I even paid for his medication through my own health insurance because he was no longer covered. And yet, despite doing all this, there was always this tension in the air, as if none of it really counted because I didn't brag about it or rub it in their faces. Since Mom died, Dad had grown more bitter, and he seemed to resent everyone and everything, including me. He'd spend his days sitting in his recliner, watching TV, complaining nonstop, and refusing to admit he needed help. My sister always took his side, no matter what, and my brother just stayed out of sight. Everything reached its boiling point one Tuesday night. I came home after a long day working on a client's network issue, drained and just wanting a quiet meal. Instead, I walked into a war zone. Dad was screaming at my sister in the kitchen over something petty. She was crying, and the whole house felt like it was tipping over. I stepped in to calm things down, asked what was going on, and tried to help, but Dad turned that rage on me like I'd been waiting for it. He accused me of acting like I was better than everyone else, claimed I walked around like I owned the house, and said I contributed nothing. He called me a freeloader. I was stunned. I couldn't believe the words coming out of his mouth. I tried to remind him that I paid the bills, handled repairs, took care of his doctor visits, and did everything behind the scenes. But he wasn't listening. He just got louder. Then he said it, the sentence that hit like a hammer. "You do nothing for this family. Get out." He followed it with something that cut even deeper, that I was dead to him. My sister said nothing. She just stood there crying. My brother glanced in, saw the scene, and slipped back into his room. In that moment, something in me snapped. Years of quiet sacrifice, of letting things slide, of carrying this family without complaint. And that was how he saw me? I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and walked down without another word. I picked up my keys from the counter, looked at him one last time, and said, "You got your wish. I'm leaving, and you'll figure out soon enough what I really did around here." Then I left. I drove to my friend's place across town. He was surprised to see me, but he let me stay on his couch while I tried to process everything. I didn't tell anyone in my family where I was staying. I just needed time to think. I felt angry, hurt, and honestly, a little free. Here's what I didn't tell them before I walked out. Every bill was in my name. Power, gas, water, internet, cable. I paid for groceries. I scheduled lawn care. I even had pest control on a monthly plan. And all of that? I stopped it the day I left. By day 3, my sister texted asking when I was coming home. I ignored it. On day 5, my brother called, asking if I was okay. I said I was fine, just staying with a friend. From the way he talked, I could tell Dad hadn't bothered explaining anything. On day 6, my sister messaged me again, this time asking if I knew why the internet wasn't working. I said nothing. Day 7, she asked about the groceries that hadn't been delivered. Still no response. But it was on day 8 that the text finally made me smile. She was panicking. Why is the power off? She wrote, the house is cold and nothing's working. I sat with that message for a minute before I replied. I simply wrote, thought I did nothing. That's all I said. Her replies came in a flood, confused, frantic, begging me to explain. I turned off my phone and went to sleep. The next day, I signed the lease on a small one-bedroom apartment. I was done with the drama. That same morning, my phone showed 17 missed calls. And that's when I heard the voicemail that changed everything. It was Dad, but not the angry, arrogant man who screamed at me. His voice sounded tired, scared, defeated. In the message, he said he was sorry, that he didn't realize everything I did until it all fell apart. He said the house was freezing, they had no hot water, and he didn't know how to fix anything. Then he said something that made me stop in my tracks. He mentioned that Mom would be disappointed in both of us, that she raised us to be a family that stuck together in hard times, that we were letting her down. I sat there listening to his voice crack as he talked about Mom. I thought about all the times she stepped in when we fought, how she believed that family meant showing up for each other, even when it was hard. But I also thought about the years I'd been treated like a ghost with a wallet, never appreciated, always expected to just handle everything. I thought about the hours I worked, the money I spent, the dreams I put on hold. I thought about his words, that I did nothing. I finally called my sister. She picked up immediately, sounding frazzled. Before I could say anything, she started apologizing, saying she didn't know everything I was paying for, that she was sorry for not standing up for me. She said Dad was a mess, and even my brother was starting to get it now. I told her I'd help them get the utilities back on, but that I wasn't coming home. Things would have to change. I wouldn't be their silent safety net anymore. The rest of that day was spent on the phone with utility companies, setting up new payment plans and reconnecting services. It cost me over $800 I didn't really want to spend, but I couldn't let them freeze. That evening, I dropped by the house. Dad was waiting in the living room. He looked smaller, weaker. He got up when he saw me, like he wanted to hug me, but wasn't sure if he could. He apologized again, looking me in the eyes this time. He admitted he'd been angry since Mom died and had taken it out on me. He said he knew now that I'd been holding everything together, and that he was grateful. I told him I forgave him, but I wasn't moving back in. I needed to build my own life, not just be the guy who keeps everything from falling apart. My sister and brother joined us, and we had our first real family talk in years. I explained what I'd been paying and what needed to change. My sister took over the grocery budget. My brother said he'd been thinking about getting a job and would start helping. Dad said he'd finally apply for some assistance programs and start managing his own health again. Update 1. 3 weeks later. Things are better. Dad calls me just to chat now, not to ask for help. My sister got a second job and now pays for internet and cable. My brother is working at a warehouse and helps with the power bill. Dad's on top of his doctor visits and even reached out to a few old friends. I come over for dinner on Sundays, not because I have to, but because I want to. Dad told me last week that he's proud of me. Said Mom would be too. That she'd probably laugh at how long it took us to figure this all out. Update 2. 2 months have passed, and I'm in a better place than I've been in years. I'm saving money, I'm dating someone new, and I finally have a life that isn't built around emergencies. The house is running fine without me there. The family is healthier, stronger. Dad brags about me to his friends now. And the best part? That voicemail, the one where he said he was sorry, I still have it. Not to revisit the hurt, but to remind myself that people can change. And that sometimes you have to walk away not to punish them, but to help them finally see you. So if you're out there feeling unseen, unappreciated, taken for granted, remember this. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your family is leave and let them figure out what life is like without you quietly fixing everything behind the scenes. Because when the lights go out, the fridge goes empty, and the house goes cold, that's when they'll remember who was really holding it all together. Like and subscribe if you believe in respect, boundaries, and choosing yourself, even when it hurts.